Hi, my name is Laura and I will be sharing a mini lesson plan on how to utilize the picture book A Mother for Choco by Choco as a resource to teach about adoption and unconditional love in a grade 2 classroom. A Mother for Choco is a story about a lonely little bird named Choco who goes out into the world in search of a mother. Each mother that Choco meets, Mrs. Giraffe, Mrs. Penguin, and Mrs. Walrus, explain that because of their lack of physical similarity to Choco, they could not be his mother. Choco then meets Mrs. Bear, who adopts him as one of her own children. Choco discovers that Mrs. Bear has a family full of children who do not look like one another or like Mrs. Bear. The love that Mrs. Bear has for Choco and all of her other children is what makes her a suitable mother for Choco, not that they must look the same. Each of the conversations between Choco and the three mothers at the beginning of the book have the same repetition in text like on this page, which makes it easier for students to follow along with and engage with the text in the book during read aloud. Students are able to connect the text to the detailed watercolor illustrations, and in particular, they can connect the text and illustrations to see the physical differences that the mothers point out between them and Choco. Choco has also done a wonderful job in making light of the fact that it would be near impossible for everyone to look the same and that it would look funny. This mini lesson plan should ignite the curiosity of your students. To convince them that this lesson is worth learning, you should relate the topic to any prior knowledge that your students might have about adoption. Using prior knowledge to facilitate group discussion leads to thoughtful and provoking questions that allow students to open up to one another. Adoption is a critical topic and is not uncommon, so it is important to create awareness around it where being a family is not only about physical similarities, but is about the love that a family has for each other. Allowing the opportunity for students to learn about adoption and what it means gives each of them an opportunity to share their knowledge with others. For students who have never heard of the word adoption, this topic will spark questions. For the children who have heard of adoption, might be aware of what it is, or know someone who is adopted, this lesson plan gives students a chance to teach one another. So now that you have your students' full attention, let's get started with the lesson plan. The focus of this lesson plan is on the 3 read-aloud components: before reading, during, and after. To start, you'll want to introduce the book and have your students predict what the book might be about based on the title and illustration on the front cover. Ask your students to brainstorm some ideas about what kind of mother Choco might be looking for. The first topic you want to teach your students about is what adoption is. Ask if any of the students have heard the word adoption, and then ask if they know of anyone that is adopted. Be prepared to share anything you know about adoption, anyone you may have had a conversation with, or anyone you know that is in fact adopted. The second topic you'll need to teach your students about is what unconditional love means. The goal is to come up with definitions for each of these terms that the students can relate to. So during reading, it will be important to spark discussion. Ensure that you pause after the 3 mothers are introduced when they explain to Choco that they cannot be his mother due to their lack of physical similarity. Ask your students how they think Choco feels as a result of their responses. How would they feel? When Mrs. Bear notices Choco crying and comes running to him, ask the students why they think she did that. Majority will probably point to the fact that Choco is crying and that's why, but encourage your students to dig deeper. Ask them what quality Mrs. Bear has that allows her to feel for Choco. Is she caring, kind, concerned? Do each of these qualities make a good mom? At the end of the book, ask the students why they think that Mrs. Bear loves all of her children to stimulate discussion about unconditional love again as it connects to adoption. After reading, students will complete an activity that will provide them with the opportunity to display their knowledge. Students will come up with an alternative response that Mrs. Giraffe, Penguin, or Walrus could have said to Choco, based on their understandings of adoption and unconditional love regardless of physical differences. You may consider giving them a prompt such as, "Yes, I will be your mother because," and then the students fill in the rest of the sentence. Keep in mind that throughout this lesson, it is important to remind students to be respectful of their peers' ideas, opinions, thoughts, even if they don't always agree. Students will use the application ChatterPix Kids to take a picture of one of the mothers in the book, draw a mouth on the image to allow it to talk, and voice record what their alternative response would be to Choco. You will have to teach the students how to use ChatterPix Kids. It is as simple as opening the application on a tablet, selecting the Take Photo option, taking a photo, drawing a mouth on the picture, pressing record to record your alternative response, which you have 30 seconds to do, and then saving it. To end the activity, divide the students into groups of 3 and give them time to watch each student's alternative response. Ask the students to determine if each of the alternative responses is reflective of unconditional love and therefore makes the character a suitable mother for Choco. So what should your students know? Outcome 1.1. Students should know how to consider the ideas of others by expressing or representing ideas and feelings resulting from activities or experiences with oral, print, and other media. Students should know how to construct meaning from text by suggesting alternative endings. And lastly, students should know how to use effective oral and visual communication by speaking in a clear voice with appropriate volume and an understandable pace and with expression. And that's everything. Thanks for listening.